Good morning, Burton.
Hey, good morning to you, Andrew. How you doing?
I'm doing really well, buddy. How's your day shaping up?
My day's going very well, thank you. It's a beautiful sunny day outside and starting starting to hit spring here and getting ready to do some gardening soon.
Awesome, awesome. Well, first and foremost, welcome to the Rock Pit and to Australia, Burton. It's such a pleasure to actually finally be able to talk to you. As a longtime fan of pretty much everything that you've done, it's an absolute
Thank
honor.
you.
So, yeah, it's
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Glad to be talking to a supporter.
no, it's great. So, you know, you're headed down under in June for a series of four shows, and this is the first time you're taking to the road solo or under your own name. Um, what brought all of this about?
Well, it wasn't overnight. I'll say that this plan, this idea, this new chapter was begun after a lot of introspection, reflection, meditation, and I decided I still wanted to be an artist. I've been an artist my whole life, and I felt it was time to just branch out under my own name. Take everything I've ever done from all the projects I've ever been associated with, and all like Fear Factory, Essential the Watchers, GZR, CFIR, and everything that I've contributed to those projects, uh, basically make an amalgamation of everything and make it all under my name. So I, I'm as a performing artist, I feel that is something that's in my soul that I must do. I am compelled to create. I'm compelled to perform, and so here I am, and Australia is going to be the proving ground for a solo tour.
Incredible. I mean, you've got quite a long touring history and relationship with Australia. What have been your favourite moments from past tours?
Oh, just the audience participation, audience. The fans are always so receptive and welcoming, and just so engaging at the shows. That's always fun. That's on the concert side. I just love Australia in general. It's Australia always fascinated me as even as a young child, and being able to be able to go over there on a very first tour back in '93. I knew I was going to stay, so I got really friendly. Became really good friends with the promoter at the time, who was based in Perth. And when the tour ended in Perth, the rest of the guys left, and I stayed for another 2 months. And I was able to travel the entire West Coast, from Esperance all the way to Darwin, working as a roadie for an Australian band, a classic Australian band actually called Painters and Dockers. I was their driver.
My God, there's something that you uncover every day. That's something I wasn't aware of, and what an amazing way to see the country, I guess.
It
Uh,
was fantastic. It was fantastic, and getting to know those guys was just pretty awesome. So, there's so many things about Australia that I just love, and the fact that the same landmass as the United States, but it has a fraction of the people that makes it even better. It's to me, it's almost like it's still a budding country. I mean, it's very cosmopolitan and metropolitan in a lot of ways, but still, you go into the interior, it's quite empty,
Very vast, very vast.
vast.
Lots of things to see and explore in so many different ways. Now,
Absolutely.
now, musically, we've seen two singles from you as Burton C. Bell, Anti-Droid and Technical Exorcism.
Yes.
Both tracks are, I'd say, very much an evolution of what you've done, but both tracks are also quite different in their own right. Um,
Yes.
I mean, are these teasers for a full-length album, and can we expect more diversity from you stylistically with what's to come.
Yes and yes. I, the first two songs that you've heard that you mentioned, Anti-Droid and Technical Exorcism. Anti-Droid was presented to me by a producer, Alex Crescione, when I was doing vocals for a song called Du Hast for a Rammstein tribute record. And he was producing the song I did with Mark Thwaite and Big Paul Ferguson. So I had the opportunity to speak with him while recording, and I I let him know of my wishes and my desires of how I wanted my future to proceed and how I want my next chapter of my career to proceed. So he's like, well, I have a song if you'd like to hear it. And he presented me with the song Anti-Joy, and I loved it. So we worked on that. And uh, to me, that just really stoked the fire inside my passion. And I started working with a group of guys, which is now my band. And I had a song that I presented to them, which is called Technical Exorcism, and a song I wrote, and I wrote it with the guitar player Henrik as well. And we worked that out to be my first actual single that wrote on my own. And in that process, I was able to curate a band where I was not just Henrik Lind as the guitar player, but Tony Baumeister as the bass player, uh, Junior Kitlitz as the drummer, and now Corey Clark as the second guitar player. And we were all able to work on that song together. And we all became, you know, learned each other's, little peccadillos and how we talk to each other and how we work together. And so working with them, Henrik presented a song which is going to be my next single, and it's called Savages, and it's a banger. And it's, I think, working with a band as a group and working with them as artists, we have really, I think we found a sound that we're really working towards. And so then I have a couple new singles under my hat right now, under my vest. One, hopefully they'll both be released by the time I get to Australia, but one of them definitely will be, and that'll be Savages. But yes, I do plan on releasing a full length. Hopefully, I can garner some more support, get some, hopefully get a little bit of monetary support from a label at some point. But right now I'm an independent artist, and if there's a label willing to invest in me to put out a record, I'm willing to entertain that. But right now, singles, I'm just releasing singles as they come along, but they will be released in the future, they will be released on a full length with new songs as well. So that's my plan. And I know that was long and drawn out, but I got to the point.
I mean, how does it feel? I mean, having gone through the whole record deal scenario for most of your life, how does it feel to be sort of independent as you speak these days? I mean, how big a change is that for you, or is that something that you sort of see being quite easy to do with the way that the industry looks these days?
Um, there's a lot of freedom in being independent, and the only drawback is that I have to. Um, I'm the one who has to put up all the money for it, or somehow raise money for it. But I've been able to do things I've been able to write music and create music that, without that necessity so far. But the freedom of not being on labels is amazing. And I think in this day and age, with technology and the way the internet has proliferated so much into our lives, is that labels are, as much as I like to have a label, they're great for distribution in a lot of ways and to get your name out there. But if you do it right, you can do that yourself as well. Someone described labels to me a long time ago as major labels are like a gigantic boat in the ocean where something changes, it takes them they have to do a huge turn just to get back on track. with the actual wave of actual wave of culture and music industry of the way it's actually turned. So not being on a label, I feel I'm ahead of their curve. I'm following the hip hop template of just dropping singles when I can and staying in the limelight and staying in the spotlight where my fans are interested in. But I'm not. I would entertain a label's support if it was the right label or the right pitch. Just see what happens.
Absolutely. Now there are so many sides to you as a human. I mean, singer, lyricist, songwriter, performer, producer, photographer, just to name a few. I mean, are there any that I've missed?
No, that's pretty much it. I'm
And which,
a father.
yeah, and which of those gives you the most joy, I guess?
I find joy in everything I'm passionate about, and it's hard to say. I guess whatever is in my focus at that moment, I find joy in. But I find joy in just being the ability to create and to be able to the ability to work with others in creation of music or art, and having the ability to have it viewed or heard, and that's joy in itself.
Mm, mm. And I mean, when you look at that sort of stuff, I mean, obviously there's a passion to create, and I mean everything that you've done musically has been an evolution of sorts. Each Fear Factory record was an evolution. The stuff
Yes.
you did with GZR and the stuff you did with Ascension of Fire, they've all been like sort of breaths of fresh air into what you've done. Is it important to you to keep evolving? And obviously, these two new tracks that we've had are a different side again. The guitars are a little down in the mix, and you're just pushing, another envelope there. How important is that for you to continue that evolution?
I think as an artist, it's important to evolve and push boundaries and to experiment, because if you don't experiment as an artist, you'll just stay in a rut and continue to do the same thing over and over again, and that gets boring, especially for myself. So, to evolve as an artist, that's that comprises experimentation and education, and that to me is what how that's how we are able. That is how I am able to uh, cope with life in general, is by experimentation and education, and just expanding my abilities. And I will continue to do that. I
Mm,
will continue to push the boundaries with music and lyrics and art, and on any platform in any medium, because you don't get noticed by being safe, and you don't get noticed by following the rules.
mm, mm. Now you mentioned that Technical Exorcism was the first song that you wrote on yourself for this solo outing. In that, I mean, did you sit down and did you like it? Was it a lyrical idea that started the whole process, or was it a musical idea that started all of that for you?
It was a guitar piece that I was just playing with,
Mm,
and I just kept, I felt it. I felt it in my really felt it in my soul, because when I sit down and play guitar, it's something I'm expressing through my body, and I just, as I was going along, it was just being expressed through me, and I through the guitar first,
mm,
and working with Henrik, he helped me uh, arrange it, and through that arrangement, I was finally able to like come up with lyrics, because I'm always writing lyrics, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to write about. It was until it was like a particular moment, something really clicked inside of me, where I had this title already written down, and this title just connected with this piece I was writing. And once those two connected, the lyrics started to flow out of me, and It's kind of like a puzzle. Sometimes working on music with me, sometimes I have the lyrics already, but they don't really present themselves to the music I'm writing until much later. Or, I have music first and then the lyrics come, and that's how it usually goes.
Absolutely. So, you know, are there any musical boundaries that you'd like to venture into that you haven't perhaps stepped into?
Ah, um, I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like I've done a lot. I don't think I'll do jazz music. I don't think I'm up for classical music. I don't have the knowledge for classical music, but I think there's a lot I've done, but I'd like to probably revisit and improve on some things. But when it comes to working on music for the next chapter of my career, I'm just going to do what comes out naturally. And if I presented with a song that sounds great, I will go with it. And I already have a line of songs already that we're already working on just to keep the ball rolling. So, and they all sound different, and that's to me which makes it even more exciting and inspirational.
Absolutely. Now, if we go right back to your beginning and your love of music, what started your love of music? What started your what
Uh,
fire inside you to want to pursue music?
well, I think I've always known I've loved music. I've always been listening as long as I can remember. Music's been a part of my life. Listening to music, especially just whatever radio was on or whatever family member was record they were playing, or I would just pick up one of their records and play something that I liked, and that was usually my mother's or my father's albums, which was usually either classical or country or or soundtracks. But I've always loved music, and I think when you know I started performing as a young child as a in choir, doing skits in school plays. I enjoyed the choir. I loved singing in choir a lot with my school in school and when I did go to church as a young child. Um, and as I was growing older and in my teen years, I was like, wow, trying to decide what I'm going to do with my life. I'm like, I already knew I was going to be an artist, but being a vocalist, it wasn't something that was at the forefront of my mind, but I always had dreams. And I guess those dreams became reality. A friend of mine at the time, I was living in Washington D.C. before I moved to L.A., and a friend of mine swears up and down that I said he says that I told him I was going to move to California and become a rock star. It's like I never said that. I was like, it's like he swears up and down I did. I'm like, well, I must have been high.
Absolutely. Now, there's something that in the media release for this tour, uh, the introduction to the media release calls you an industrial metal icon. How does that title sit with you? How does the title of icon sit with you?
It's interesting. I guess it's I never really thought about it, but it's an interesting term. I guess I've being an icon. I suppose I've contributed something to music that will is timeless and people remember, and that it'll always go down in the books of history books of music. Uh, being inducted into the Metal Hall of Fame helps a lot. So that was unexpected, but getting the recognition for my contribution, being called an icon, that's interesting. I'll take it with a grain of salt.
Mm, absolutely. So, you know, with this tour coming up, obviously you've got three or four new of your own songs ready to go. what else can we expect to see from the set? Will this be a career retrospective? Will there be reimagination of songs that we know, and will there be deep cuts?
I'm glad you. That's a great word you used, reimagination, because I do have a catalog, 30 plus years catalog of various projects, and not only will I be playing new songs, I will be grabbing cuts from all of those projects and reimagining them for the music that I am striving towards. And for instance, my mantra that I've come up with for my career is heavy, groovy, dark, and moody. And if it fits into that criteria, there's music that I've done my entire career that does fit into that. So I'm grabbing from these catalogs music that I feel that would fit great with where I want to go in my next chapter. So there's gonna be some cuts that you haven't heard in a while, some cuts that have never been played in Australia, from City of Fire to GZR, to the Watchers, and there will be, of course, there'll be a few cuts of Fear Factory, of course, but it's not going to be the obvious ones. So I'm going to be playing. It's going to be interesting. I have a set list at least an hour long right now. I don't want to play a 3 hour set; that'll kill me.
Mm.
But I definitely want to make sure that people leave being blown away. I want to make sure that they get their money's worth on top of it all, and I want to make sure that they see why the audience is going to come see what I am wanting to show the world for my next chapter in my career.
I mean, these shows too for you, they're on more of an intimate scale. Was that something that you consciously wanted to do as far as a connection to the fan?
Absolutely. First of all, it would be more realistic to do a small, a small intimate show, but it's the intimate venues that I've always found that are always the best shows for me. Being in the face of an audience member, literally being able to reach out and hit their hand or high five or just yell in their face is something that I've always been inspired by. That's what gets my blood pumping. That's what energizes me on stage, is feeling the energy right in front of me. And when I have that energy in front of me, I reciprocate to the audience as well. So we are all on the same wavelength. And it's, to me, it was something that I really strived for. And we intend doing these small shows was quite intentional.
Absolutely. Have you had much of a chance to road test the band today?
Yeah, I have done 3 shows with this band, and the last show we did was we opened up for God Forbid in Los Angeles, and that show was just, we were on fire. We had done a show the night before in San Diego, and which pretty much was like primed us for Los Angeles. So we're going to be, rehearsals are going to be starting fairly shortly. We're rehearsing at least a month long, and yeah, we're going to be primed and ready to go. So this band is ready, and I love these guys. They're great musicians. They're talented and quite capable and competent to make it happen with me.
Absolutely, for sure. So just before we wrap it all up, I read something the other day that took me by surprise. I haven't had a chance to investigate it yet, but you were actually in Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit film clip. Is this correct?
It is true. I was there for the video shoot, and I am in the audience. And if I sat down with you, I could point out, like, on a couple occasions, there's me. But it's a lot of quick shots, but it was such a great moment. What's also cool is that my bass player Tony, I've known Tony for years, and Tony was also in that video shoot as well. So he and I have this bond that is pretty awesome. So it's we talk about that, and it's pretty fun. So yeah, I was in it. So that's I think that's the one thing that's makes me more famous than anything else. So,
You know, the fact that it was a hidden little gem that I stumbled across. I went, oh my god, really? I got to go check this out. Is so cool.
I'm
It,
there's another tidbit is that Nirvana has a single for a song called Dive, Sliver and Dive, and on the back has a live picture from Raji's, and it's like a one of those negative pictures that was very popular in the late 80s and 90s. But standing right in front of the stage is me.
my god, there you go. Ingrained in Nirvana history and folklore forever.
I love that band. They were pretty awesome.
Hmm. I guess seeing them too in those earlier days would have just been electric. You know, the
Yeah,
whole world got to know them probably a little too late, and they left a little too early. You know.
exactly. I remember the last time I saw them is right when that song "Smells Like Teen Spirit" was blowing up on radio, on MTV, and they played a place called the Palace, the Hollywood Palace in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, and watching them at that point, it was packed and it was a great show. But I knew that was the last time I was going to see him.
Wow, that's it's pretty daunting thing to have to even reflect on. You know, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
they're just they weren't that band that I could just see at a small club anymore. They became this massive international phenomenon, and it's like, oh, it's fun while it lasted.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Burton, thank you again for your time this morning. Myself and I know there are a bunch of fans out here that are really looking forward to this tour. I'm looking to see, you know, where you take your project and where you take the new music, but I'm also super excited to hear how you reimagine um, the back catalogue and the deep cuts. Is there anything
Thank
you'd
you.
like to leave us with for the fans?
Well, I'd just like to remind everyone that very excited to come down there. Me and the guys are very excited. I have a great group of guys as my band. We're ready to rip it up. And like I said, I am an independent artist, and any support I can get from fans in Australia to come and support independent music, I'd be absolutely honored and grateful. And I'll make it worth your while. So for any news, check my Instagram or my Facebook page. I have all the news there. And yeah, please come out and support independent music.
Fantastic. All right, Burton. Thank you again for your time. Thanks for accommodating me a little bit earlier too. And we'll see
My,
you here in June.
my pleasure, Andrew, and I'm grateful for your time. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you.
Not a problem at all, my friend. Travel safe, be safe, and until June, we'll see you
I'll
then.
see you. Our
See you,
paths will
buddy.
cross in June.